I took some notes for you guys. So my journey, where it started were actually my boobs. So my boobs are fake. I know. They look super real, but after having 2 children, that will do it for you. So I actually got my boobs done in 2011, right after I had my son. So my son was born in January 2011, and I had my first boob job in May of 2011. So February, March, April, May. So 3 or 4 months after I had my son, I had my first boob job. I wanted them right then and there. So the original doctor that I wanted to go to, he was booked for 3 or 4 months. So I was like, no, I need to go like this week. So I found a doctor that would do my consultation the next day and have surgery that week. That was the biggest mistake of my boob journey ever. Do not settle because you are impatient. Do not settle because of price. Do not settle unless you do your research. So long story short, I'm not going to get into it. I had surgery that week. It was $4,500. I was not 21 at the time, so I had to get saline implant, so saltwater implant. I did not meet my surgeon at my consultation. I met with his nurse and we discussed what we wanted. And then the day of surgery is when I met my doctor. He seemed like a great guy. He understood what I wanted. We went with 450 cc's of saline under the muscle for my height and my weight and everything like that. I was like, cool, whatever, I want boobs, just do it. So I wake up and I have this blue bandeau bandage around. I couldn't see my boobs, but I knew that they were sitting up high, so I was happy. My mom took care of me. My mom took me home. I was not in pain. I was just sleepy. So fast forward, everything goes great with my boob surgery. I loved my boobs. They looked great. I wasn't in pain. The only thing that I would say after a boob job is be very wary of your arms. Your muscles and things are very, very sensitive in this area. And I just remember one time I went to reach for something and I had the sharpest shooting pain in my boobs, and it really slapped me in the face like, don't do that again. So just be very, very wary of your arms. Make sure that you're cleaning your incisions however your surgeon says to, depending on the scar. I did about that long, so I don't know if that's 1 inch or 2 inches or 1.5 inches, whatever that is. That's how big my scar is, and it's right on the base of my nipple. So we'll move into that. So 6-7 months, my boobs look great. I love them. They're perfect. I'm showing them everywhere. And then I start to feel some pain in my scar. I started noticing that about 6 to 7 months post. I did not have a post-op appointment with my doctor, which I did not know because, again, I never had boobs or plastic surgery before. I was just like, they look good, they feel good, I don't need to see him. So they never pressed the issue, so neither did I. So sorry, I had to reposition. This is harder than I thought it would be. So 6 or 7 months after, I start feeling this really sharp pain in my nipple where my scar is, and it's a pain that I've never felt before. It honestly feels like when somebody pinches you and they're just pinching and holding pressure right there. Not like a quick pinch, but like a pinch where someone's just holding your skin and pinching, and the pressure just builds and it hurts. So that's what I felt in my nipple. So imagine one of the most sensitive areas on your body having a pinch. So I was like, something's wrong. My doctor would not see me. His medical assistant told me, you know, I sign waivers, this and that, it's too far out, blah, blah, blah. So I was a little frustrated. No, I was not a little frustrated. I was frustrated. I was pissed off. My scar was super, super thick at this point. It literally looked like a bruise, not a bruise, like a welt. It was raised, you could feel it, it was textured, you could see it, just everything was wrong with my scar. And then also, not to mention, I started noticing my implant started to move. So when I would flex like this, even though my implants move now, even when I wouldn't flex, when I would just move, my implant would move. And that, at that time, I did not know that was not normal until I researched my second boob doctor, Dr. Grey. And I'm not gonna say, actually I will, Dr. Gonzales out of Granite Bay was my first boob doctor. He is no longer in practice. He was at Advanced Med Spa and he is horrible. Stay away from him. Anyways, moving on because I don't need a lawsuit. I'm just speaking my truth. But moving on, I researched a doctor named Dr. Grey. A lot of girls that I knew had work done by him and they looked great. And I'm talking about girls that had boob jobs 10 years ago and their boobs look brand new. So I researched Dr. Grey, got a consultation with him. He is in San Francisco, in the heart of San Francisco, in a beautiful, beautiful office that he actually just built $1 million practice or more in a high-rise up in San Francisco off of Sutter Street. It's all like white marble. It's beautiful. But anyways, so I met with Dr. Grey. He let me know his prices and things like that, and then he said, okay, let's go to the examine room, where he examined me. How embarrassing. He basically explained to me that my scar was keloid, whatever the word is. So the best way I can explain it is when you get an ear piercing and you see people with those balls or those knots on the back of their ears where it looks like this weird thing. I was getting a keloid on my nipple. It was like 7 or 8 layers of scar tissue that was building up, and that was what was causing all the pressure and tension in my scar. And I asked him, I said, Dr. Grey, you know, what would cause a keloid on an incision from a plastic surgeon? He said, honestly, Shanae, I can't tell you, but I can let you know that A, he either used a dirty utensil, so a dirty scalpel, something dirty to cause bacteria, just like with the earrings, when you don't clean it, it keloids. So he either used a dirty scalpel, a dirty needle, whatever, something dirty on me and unsanitary, or he, you know, didn't cut you properly, didn't sew you up properly. Basically, he did not know what he was doing as a plastic surgeon. So he butchered my scar. And then as far as the implant, he said that he opened up my breast pocket way too big for the actual implant. So when you put an implant in, just think of like stuffing something. You need to get it open enough to get that product or whatever you're stuffing inside, but you don't want to open it up too much because then they're loose and they're moving around. That's exactly what happened with my first boob job. He just went in, opened up my pocket so big, stuffed the implant in there and sewed me up. And the first couple of months they looked great because the swelling was holding my boob in place. But when the swelling subsided and everything went back to normal, the implant started flopping around. So I had 2 issues with my boobs, and Dr. Grey told me he can fix them. And I was very, very confident in him. He let me know prior to surgery I would need to come in and get steroid injections into my scar at least 2 times before surgery, just to get some of the scarring down, and the rest he'll cut out. And then we also discussed to switch my implant from saline to silicone. So basically from salt water to silicone, which is a softer substance, so it won't look like a water bag. It will feel more natural, supposedly. And also we decided to go with 800 cc's. So I went from 450 to 800, almost double the size implant. This was based on what my doctor recommended for my weight, my size, everything, my structure, and I trusted him. And then also, what was it? So 800 cc's. And mind you, that is the biggest implant on the market that you can get. So you could get an 800 cc bag and overfill it, but 800 cc's is the biggest implant made in the United States, that he told me at that time, and that was 2012. So less than a year after my first boob job, I had another boob job. So I went in, had surgery with Dr. Grey, had my steroid injections prior. That didn't hurt at all. I did see a difference in the scarring. I went to his practice. His price was $10,000, so $9,500, and then an extra $1,000 for implant transfer because I like a revision basically. But it was just 10 grand. He just let me do the 10 grand. So he didn't charge me for the extra $500, or he didn't charge me for this like steroid treatments or anything like that. So 10 grand is what I paid Dr. Grey, and I had surgery, and I woke up and went home and everything was fine. Honestly, my boob jobs, the pain levels maximum were like a 4, and that's if I was stretching my body too far and trying to do too much. But honestly, you could get up and go, you can move around. At least you're supposed to if everything goes right. So when I had all the dressings off and followed all the directions, everything looked great. My boobs were huge. Oh my God, they were so big, but they looked so good with my body. So I trusted him. My scars looked good. He cut out all that scar tissue. Everything was great, and these are my boobs. Look how soft and gushy and yummy they are. Yeah, I definitely need a lift, but we'll talk about that later. But honestly, I'm so happy that I found Dr. Grey. The long story short with my breast augmentation journey is that boobs are something that are done so much. I think it's like the #1 plastic surgery procedure is a breast augmentation. So it's super popular, and I think that we train ourselves like, oh, it's not a major surgery, people get it done all the time, it's nothing, whatever, I'll just go to him, he'll pop some boobs in me. No, you want to make sure that you do your research on your doctor. You want to make sure that you see his before and afters. You want to make sure you see how long he's been in practice, his credentials. Make sure that you see what he specializes in. Does he specialize in lifts? Specialize in lifts? Does he specialize in high profile, gummy bears, big boobs, small boobs? What do they specialize in? And is that something that you're looking for? My first doctor, I just rushed to him because he can take me, and that should have been my first warning sign. He wasn't booked. He needed the money. So he obviously didn't know what he was doing, and ultimately I paid the price for it, and I had to get another round less than a year later, costing me a total of close to $15,000 just on my boobs. And that was before I just turned 21. So boobs is a subject that I don't want to talk about for 10 years. Even though I need a lift because of my kids, I don't want to talk about it. My parents don't want to talk about it. My man don't want to talk about it. Boobs is basically a closed book in this household. So just make sure that you do your research. And also I wanted to add in some things that you might want to get, like a supply list. Or little notes that I wrote for like boobs. I said get Scar Away for your scars, or silicone based patches that you could put on your scar depending on where you get them, get the scarring. Also, it is great for your incision. So like I said, where the incision or the scar is, it will help reduce and diminish the appearance of the scars. And then also make sure you keep your bra on. I cannot stress that enough. I know they look great in the beginning where you don't have to wear a bra, but if you do not wear your bra, they will drop a lot faster, basically stretching your skin out faster and not giving basically your boobs an adequate amount of time to kind of set in place. Basically kind of like when you curl your hair. If you curl your hair and hold it for a second and then let it drop, it holds its curl a lot longer than if you just curl it and drop it. So that's the best way that I can explain it. So that is my boob journey.